So it is 10 p.m. the night before the Philly Regional, and we are sifting through bulk. For what reason, Gavin?
DD Guide.
And why do you need DD Guide?
I'm playing Mystic Mine at the Regional tomorrow.
He's playing Mystic Mine at the Regional tomorrow. Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Wait, don't click away, I promise that this one's watchable. Plus, I need the ad revenue. Today we're looking at a deck list brewed by the king himself, the only individual powerful enough to gather a fan base while playing the most degenerate, uninteractive deck since Chainburn. Feast your eyes on Jeff Leonard's Mystic Mine. So here's the list, and have you ever seen anything so beautiful? What do you mean, yes? Anyway, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Mystic Mine is less of a deck and more of a war crime. A card printed so recently that Konami really should have known better, Mystic Mine prevents monster effect activations provided you control less monsters than your opponent. Don't worry though, it's balanced. If the pair of you control the same amount of monsters, like say 0 because you activated it on the first turn, it destroys itself at the end phase. Because of this, previous builds of the deck have played Metaverse and Trap Trick to find it after an opponent summons a monster, but the limiting of Metaverse stuck a stake through this synergy, and so thought brewers the deck. But Jeff is no ordinary deck builder. Undeterred by the deck's exceptionally low win rate, its dearth of playables, or the hatred it instills in the hearts of its opponents, he came up with this calamity of cardboard. This list aims to mitigate Mine's monumental downside with a couple of cards I'm sure you're currently scrambling to retrieve from the back of your bulk. Both DD Guide and Field Barrier enable a turn 1 Mystic Mine setup without any monsters, and for hands where you can't find a 2-card combo with your 3 Left Arm, 3 Extravagance, 3 Duality, or 3 Demise, there's always Demise of the Land to do a mediocre impression of Metaverse. With win conditions of 2-wave motion cannon and 1 final countdown of all things, how could you not fall in love with a deck so endearing? So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, we have 3 DD Guide, which changes control on summon, giving your opponent a monster before they've even taken a turn. Next are our draw spells, 3 Extravagance, 3 Demise, and 3 Duality. I've had some commenters say you shouldn't play Extravagance and Demise in the same strategy, and to them I say, top 16 of PPG, why don't you? After that is 3 Left Arm Offering, banishing 3 cards doesn't matter a ton when they're all mostly garbage, and our Protectors, 3 Prohibition, calling Twin Twister blind, and 3 Field Barrier, followed by 3 Skuld's Oracle, which is used to gather information for Prohibition and keep those pesky spell pops far from your opponent's draw phase. Next are our win conditions, 1 Final Countdown, limited by the way, and 2 Wave Motion Cannon, followed by a Terraforming and 3 Demise. The mine itself makes up the back of the lineup, for traps are on 1 Metaverse, and 6 cards that negate spell and trap removal. Good luck, Galaxy Cyclone. In the extra, we're on Traffic Ghost, Phoenix, Landfoe, Reproducus, Gardna, Link Spider, and Link Haribo, which I expect are to link off tokens you're given so that you equalize the amount of monsters with your opponent. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Necross. We are going second, as we aim to do in every match we play today, and wow, is our hand loaded! Final Countdown, you always want to see your win conditions, there's very few of them. The rest of our hand is quite good. We have a copy of Demise of the Land and a draw spell if for some reason we can't find a way to get Mystic Mine. As long as our opponent commits 1 additional monster past whatever they summon turn 1 to the board, we should have this in the bag. Our opponent's going first. They're going to lead with a copy of Preparation of Rites to get a copy of Bryo to hand. They'll discard that to the graveyard in order to get a Colossalus. They'll discard the Colossus for a copy of Cycle, then activate another prep for a Ben 10. They'll activate Cycle using Ben 10's effect in order to get a Vanity's Ruler to hand. Who says Jinlock is dead? This is an impressive setup against a different deck, but not very good against us. We're going to lead with Final Countdown. We take 2,000 life points in the process. Did you know there's a life point cost associated with this? Unfortunately, our card of Demise does not pan out. We'll activate Prohibition on Twin Twisters and discard our hand. Thankfully, we have a bit of time. Either they're going to special summon, or they're going to give us at least a turn. They'll decide to do the latter. For turn, we draw a copy of Pot of Extravagance. Shoot! Well, we'll activate Card of Demise. It eats an Ash Blossom we knew was coming, and we will pass it back to our opponent. For turn, our opponent's going to draw a Pencil Plume, and the temptation is just too great. They're going to special summon it, allowing us to activate our set copy of Demise of the Land, getting a Mystic Mine, and, let's speed up the remainder of this game. Our second match is up against Dinosaur. Dino can be a particularly problematic matchup for Mystic Mine. After all, it includes a field spell that summons a token to our side of the field, threatening to shut off our ability to shut it up. Our opponent's also drawn a Twin Twister. Let's see what they can get done on the play. They'll lead with a copy of Fossil Dig. That'll add a copy of Giant Rex to hand. Afterwards, they're going to normal summon an Overraptor, use its effect to send a copy of Coddles to graveyard, then activate that effect to get a double evolution pill. They'll special summon a Tyranno before special summoning back a Giant Rex from the banished zone, overlaying for Dolka, setting a Twin Twister, and passing it back. We're going to lead with a top deck Pot of Extravagance, always feels good, and then a Pot of Duality we find off of said Extravagance. We don't find a ton, so we'll add another Extravagance and pray for next turn. We'll call Lost World on this Prohibition. Our opponent is going to Twin Twister 2 of our set demises, but the third set card is a demise as well. They'll attack directly for 23 and 35, passing it back to us, and we need to find something right now. We are actually at risk of losing. We'll leave with a copy of Pot of Extravagance. Off the top we find a Field Barrier. As long as this, Duality finds a Mystic Mine, we're in business. We'll go ahead and do that, calling Twin Twister on our second Prohibition, normal summoning a copy of DD Guide and passing it to our opponent, and wishing them the best of luck. Let's speed up the remainder of this duel. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Sky Striker, the worst matchup for this deck, and the one that eventually ended Jeff's run. Let's see if we can do a little bit better. We have the benefit of a bricking opponent. They're going to activate Upstart Goblin to find a copy of Sky Striker Ace Ray off the top. They'll normal summon that and link summon a Shizuku, setting a copy of Multi-Roll and adding a copy of Engage at end step. Don't worry, we will give them the time to go off. We're going to activate Pot of Extravagance and promptly eat an Ash. Okay, this hand is kind of awkward otherwise. We can't left arm and set the cards that we want to set on the same turn, so we'll just set them. Our opponent's going to activate Engage, go into Kagari, adding back the Engage, activate it again, getting a Jamming Waves and destroying our Dark Bribe. They're going to go to Area 0 and then try to destroy their Hercules base. Of course, they find an Engage off the top. They'll activate Engage after resolving the effect of Hercules base, drawing themselves a copy of Shark Cannon and a Multi-Roll. Pretty sick rip. Afterwards, going to Hayate, a copy of Drones to graveyard before activating Shizuku for an Eagle booster. For turn, we draw a Skuld's Oracle. We'll activate Pot of Extravagance again. What do we find? But, a Field Barrier and a Wave Motion Cannon. Okay, well, we'll activate Mining Cave and the set Field Barrier alongside the Wave Motion Cannon, and it looks like we're in the clear. Our opponent's going to activate Area 0. They don't find it, so they'll multi-roll their monster and proceed to end step, but no, unfortunately, that does not work the way you want. I'm going to activate Card of Demise, and we really don't find a lot off the top. There is a Pot of Duality, which gets us a Dark Bribe, but we're going to discard the other two, preferring that to being locked into our spells and traps. Our opponent's going to activate Area 0, then change Shark Cannon, banishing our DD Guide. That's what he wants! They find an Engage off the top, and they will take it. They'll activate Engage to get multi-roll, and they draw into a Mystic Mine of their own. Afterwards, they're going to go into a Ray off of the effect of Area 0, and oof, they can Afterburners our copy of Field Barrier, which allows our mine to die in the end step. Okay, well, we'll Oracle them and pass back. We've got a long way to go on this Wave Motion Cannon. I don't know how this one's going to turn out. They're going to activate Area 0, targeting their set card. They whiff, but for what it's worth, they have about every Sky Striker spell in their deck in their hand. They're going to multi-roll their own Area 0 for a Ray, then tag out for a copy of Kagari. Kagari's going to return a Jamming Waves. They'll activate Jamming Waves on our last remaining card. It is, of course, a Dark Bribe, so they'll go into Shizuku, then activate both effects of multi-roll and Shizuku at end step. For turn, we draw a Metaverse. That's pretty good. We're going to set it and pass it back to our opponent. They have all 3 Mystic Mines in the hand. Incredible. They'll activate Widow Anchor on their own monster, chaining it to the activation of Area 0. Once again, they whiff, so they'll go into Hayate and activate Jamming Waves, targeting my set card. I'll chain Metaverse, knowing that they now have to out my Mystic Mine. They'll destroy their own monster, which seems good, until you realize they are out of Rays. Can we speed this one up, please? Alright, so it's time for game 2, and yeah, this is about the best hand the deck is capable of producing. Wow, Field Barrier, Solemn Judgment, Mystic Mine, and Wave Motion Cannon all in the opener going first. It doesn't get much more strong than that. Well, let's see if our opponent can out it. We're going to go ahead and activate Mystic Mine, then activate Field Barrier, activate Wave Motion Cannon, and set a mystery card. Our opponent's going to draw for turn, then activate Mystical Space Typhoon. We will reveal our Solemn Judgment, and what's that? We're done already? Okay, yeah, speed it up. So we're back with the deck, and what is there to say that hasn't already been said? Well, hopefully enough, because I have to hit the 10-minute mark. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's going to catch people off guard. I think basically everyone, myself included, expected the deck had died with the limiting of Metaverse, but Jeff's finish proves it at least has legs. 2, it demands multiple pieces of removal. A Mystical Space Typhoon for the Field Barrier, a Mystical Space Typhoon for the Prohibition, calling Mystical Space Typhoon, and of course a way to find them through Scald Lock. And 3, you'll pick up games against opponents that don't know the Field Barrier interaction with Mystic Mine. I definitely had opponents walk themselves into a corner expecting Mine to self-destruct, only for them to rage quit after seeing the interaction. And the cons. 1, it's got a bad striker matchup. Between Area Zero breaking Scald Lock, Afterburners is unrespondable removal with multi-roll, and main deck to Mystical Space Typhoons, you've got your work cut out for you. 2, it has a miserable time picking up Game 2s and Game 3s. Unfortunately, a bunch of cards people are citing for better decks apply to you as well. Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, hell, you even get hosed by anti-spells in the board for Pendulum. And 3, as you may have seen on camera, this deck sucks at playing in time. It turns out a 20-turn victory condition that self-burns doesn't exactly mesh with the new time rules. All in all, it's an unbeatable deck if you're playing best of ones, and a decent one otherwise. Mad props to Jeff, but don't show up at your next regional sporting his deck unless you're prepared for some auto losses. So that's that. While I appreciate all of my viewers, a special thanks to my patrons, especially Crispy, Michael Salmior, Utterly J, Distrin, Lucas Geardis, Adam Trevino, Second, Lieutenant Labcoat, Fiore, Meepmoto27, Adrian Bra, Adam Sundquist, Isaac Jackson, Donnie Fillerup, and Mika Reichman. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/mbtygo every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.